So the thumbnail probably spoiled it. We're going to be starting to work on our car here, on the body modifications. And yes, they're going to be metal. At least the side skirts are. So I'll throw a picture up here, kind of zoom in on the rendering. But we're going to start with our side skirts and then move to our front splitter. The reason we're starting here is because I was lucky enough to have a friend with an earlier model, so 70 to 73 Camaro, that has a splitter on the front of it. And I've always hated the cars when they put the splitter on the front. It squares up the edge up front, but the side stays rounded. There is a green Camaro that's going around. It's all custom. I'm sure you've seen it if you've looked up anything. He's got his done with side skirts. They're all metal. They're all fabricated in. And I want to do something like that, but also I'm Joe Blow in a garage here. I do have friends with equipment that I could utilize, but not a lot of people do. So I wanted to create something that I could use, but also you guys use, to create the same look. Couldn't find any options, so I got on and like I said, I grabbed some measurements from a friend of mine and started working on the computer. Went on the computer and designed up some side skirts. I sent them off to be laser cut and CNC bent to my specifications. And they came in. So, yeah. Let me go grab those. Can't swing it all the way in here, but so this is what we ended up with. So it's got a side profile, kind of like, looks like a I don't know, a trough or whatever. And then we also have this nice lip that goes inside the door sill and bolts on just like a body kit. And then this inner lip here, this will bolt right to the pinch weld. So this measurement from here to here is perfect to make it fit right to the pinch weld. But as you can see, it's open. That doesn't make any sense. So when I was designing these, I was thinking, I don't want to go with the factory body kit. I don't want to make a universal kit. You know, I still want it to look custom, like it was custom built. But like I said, a lot of people don't have laser cutters. They don't have brakes this big. So what can I do to make it custom without having a lot of tools? Well, a lot of people have a basic MIG welder or access to a basic MIG welder. Okay, so we'll just make something that we can have most of the work done, basically an easy button. And so that's what we came up with. So this is one piece for each side. It is a bolt-on. You will be able to unbolt it and bolt it back on, but you don't have to mess with the paint. That's one thing I didn't want to have to do, was weld these on and then repaint everything to match, or to fix all our welds across the bottom. So I wanted it bolt on and bolt off. So I will grab the side plates. I'm going to run and grab them too. So these are the side plates, and these actually fit down in the profile of this. Let's see if I can get you a picture of it. Down in the profile of the side skirt. So I'm going to go step by step. The other side's done. So I'm going to take you over there real quick and show you the finished product. Kind of show you what we had to do to get these to work, to make them simple and easy for average person to be able to do this in a weekend. I knocked the other side out in an hour. After getting these parts, bolted it in place and bolted it to the pinch weld, and then slid my side plates in, welded it together. It's all done. So simple, easy, kind of going off the old guidelines of like in the 90s when they had the S10 roll pans. Used to get bare metal or E-coated parts, and you had to finish the fabrication at home. Like I said, most everybody has access to either a cheap MIG welder or whatever. They can fuse two pieces of metal together. But not everybody has laser cutters or fabrication bending tools or, anything like that. So that's what this is going to take care of. You'll be able to order this hopefully soon. And yeah, get them put on your car. But this kind of also leaves an opportunity to buy these pieces and modify these pieces. This is the big bulk of it. You can cut part of it out. You could cut the back out and send the exhaust through the back. That's what's nice about buying a piece that's not completely done. You can still put your stamp on it. So I'm going to take it over to the other side, show you the side that I gotten done, and then we're going to go through and start putting this together. So this is what it's going to look like when it's all done. Like I said, we cut them to match. Got our plated ends in there, forward and back. So it's all nice and plated off. Take you under here. And all it does is just meets right up with the pinch weld. Caps all this off, nice and sturdy. And then I got self-tappers holding it in place right now. Like I said, when we get this completely done, it'll have some nice hardware in here, but just right inside the door sill. So the first thing I started off with was I lined all my panels up, got my gaps good. You can see down there's a little bit of gap. I got some adjusting to do left on that. But forward and backwards, it's not going to move. So let's go through and show you how easy this is going to be. So I went ahead and knocked the wheels off just to make it a little easier and protect my wheels. But first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and just drill 3 small holes in the pinch weld under there. We are going to have to notch side skirt extensions for a few things underneath. I'll take you over now and show you what we had to do on the other side. Okay, so we're on the other side. Like I said, we're going to drill 3 holes for some self-tapping hardware underneath here. Just hold it in place. We're going to change that hardware out here when we finish this completely up. But here's one spot. You'll see when we get in there. I don't know if you can see that. We notched a pretty big area out for it because the pinch weld actually curves out a little bit for the spring perches, or for the front spring perches. You can see we got plenty of clearance in there for the bolt and hardware. Another place we had to notch it was back here in the wheel well. That's what I chose to do on mine. And then another notch up here where the fender meets, because that pinch weld dives in. So nothing really crazy, just like I said, a little bit of modifying. That's why these. That's why I want to make these in steel so that you guys can put them on like you want to. Like I said, you can, it doesn't bother me if you want to weld these all the way along your pinch weld, whatever you guys want to do. This kind of just gives you the option of, you know, kind of mounting them the way you want to mount them and modifying them the way you want to modify them. So let's get these holes drilled. The only reason I pre-drilled is because it's really hard. There's not a lot of room in here to get a drill in between here and my subframe connectors, and subframe connectors back here. So we're going to drill them from the outside going in, and then it just makes it a little easier as we go. So I'm going to get to drilling those, and then we will put the side skirts up on the other side and mark where we need to notch. Okay, now that we've got those holes drilled, now I'm going to take my tape measure and go right to this corner and measure 3/8 of an inch out and put a mark in, and then that will be the back edge of where the side skirt mounts into. It should be 3/8 of an inch here, 3/8 of an inch up front. So if I do 3/8 of an inch up here, at least I know up front will be fine. So I'm going to put that mark in, and then we'll get the side skirt up here. Okay, so there's my mark. Now I'm going to grab the side skirt and hold it up here, and we'll drill a couple other holes for some self-tappers. I'm gonna get this up in place. I pre-drilled a hole through. Just gonna use a little bit of painter's tape. Hold this side skirt in place. Make sure it's sitting flush to the body of the car. And then I'm going to punch a hole in the door sill. Now I'm going to send a self-tapper in there to hold it in place. And there's one side. I'm going to put another hole down here, making sure that it's pushed up nice and tight, and put another self-tapper in there, and 2 in the door sill should be enough for us to figure out where we need to cut our relief cuts. Okay, so we got our self-tappers in. 1, 2, should be enough to hold it up there. But like I said, you can see our gap to the quarter is nice and tight. I believe we're going to put some double-sided tape in there on mine. I don't know. Like I said, all this is up in the air. I mean, you guys can even buy these and cut this whole rail off and stitch weld it the whole length of the car and make it one piece. It's up to you how you want to mount them. This is the way I'm going to choose to do it. So a few self-tappers, a few mounting bolts in here. Like I said, we're going to change these out to some nicer hardware once we get these all completed and painted and everything. So now we're going to go up underneath the car and mark our spots where we have to cut the reliefs. Okay. So relief 1, like I said, this pinch weld goes in from here from the fender. So we're going to do a small relief there. So I'll just draw a line where that relief is going to be. We'll go a little bit on the outside of it. It doesn't have to be perfect, and we're going to take it down right before this bend. Then back here, it's going to be a little bit more substantial as far as relief cuts. So what I did on the other side was I started right about here, and I cut, like I said, a pretty substantial amount out of it. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Because what this is going to do, we're probably going to come in and straighten up this pinch weld just a little bit. This is going to allow the metal to fit. This side will fit on the outside of the pinch weld, and then this side will actually sneak in to the inside. And then we only have one more relief cut, which will be back here for the inner wheel well. So I'll just make a small relief like the front one, and we'll just take that all the way down. So that should get us in the location where we need it to be. Like I said, we're going to have to flip-flop this. Like I said, the pinch weld moves out to give more space for this spring. And then what we'll do is we'll tweak this out a little bit, and then we'll bend this a little bit in, and it should fit up perfect. So you can see we went under here and we straightened out our pinch weld a little bit. They just get beat up. People use them as jacking points and they shouldn't. So what we did was we cut our relief in here. This is the bigger one. We bent it. You can see it just bends ever so slightly out and ever so slightly in. That'll give us just enough room to sneak that pinch weld right in between here. So this will go on, would be the outside portion of our pinch weld. And then this part back here, we'll straddle it back in to the inside portion. That's what I did on the other side. So let's get this mounted back up and see how our clearance is. So our relief cuts worked out perfect. Like I said, you can see the cut right there. And then the other cut there. That allowed that pinch weld to pass through and continue out into where it needed to be. We're going to clean up this cut just a little bit more. It needs just a little bit more space. On our front cut worked out perfect. We did bend this in just a little bit, just like the back ones, or just like the back one. So now what we're going to do, we pre-drilled those holes in the pinch weld. I'm going to get this nice and sucked up nice and tight with the pinch weld here and use some clamps to hold it in place, and then I'll show you what we're going to do after that. Okay, so what I did is I did take these down. You can see a hole drilled in them now. So what I did was I took just some spray paint, and this is a straw for like WD-40, and I stuck, let's see if I can get this, I stuck that straw through that hole and marked my panel where that hole meets up. So now my hole's drilled. I'm going to put my self-tappers in to hold this in place, and then we'll move on to our end plates. Okay, so now we're onto the back of the car here. It's the rear axle leaf springs. So you're going to take, I showed you that before, you're going to take these end plates, and they're just going to fit right in there. So as you can see, we kind of left a lot of extra, like I said, for the purpose of just making it more universal for everybody. Sometimes they might, you might mess up the spacing in between there. It might move it back, might move it forward. So that was kind of one of the reasons for leaving a little extra. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a set of vice grips and lock it in to this pinch weld right here, because eventually you're going to drill holes and mount this into the pinch weld. Then we're going to make a mark here along the outside perimeter so we know kind of where it's going to be, and then we'll take the whole side skirt off once we get front and back and prep it for welding, and then we'll come back to this. So now the front's going to be a little different because the front has, let's see if I can see in here, the inner wheel well folds under. What we want is our side plate to go underneath this inner wheel well. So we have our side plate here, and I've drawn on it a little bit. So what I did on the other side was I sunk this in here like this, and we are going to notch that out so that when we slide this in, there's a relief for that fold under piece. So I'm going to go ahead and notch this square out. The way I did it was I put this in, marked how far, try to do this with one hand, marked how far over that notch needed to be, and then pushed it all the way down and just lined that line up with the other side. So let's notch this out and get this put in place. Okay, so you guys can see we notched the metal so that that can still slide underneath, and then fitted it back behind the inner wheel tub. It would probably make it easier to do this without the inner wheel tub in, but all of my wiring and everything else is all tucked behind my fender in my wheel tub. So really didn't want to have to take that down, mess with the wiring, so I just finagled it in there and got it in place. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this perimeter here, so I know where that one sits, and then I'll mark the rear, and I'll pull them both off and prep them for welding, and then I'll put it all back on again before welding this, and I'll tack all the way around this. So next you'll probably see me taking these off, prepping them for welding. I'll slap them back on real quick and tack these up. Okay, so I got it all cleaned back up. I'm not going to show you this process. I'm just going to fusion weld with my TIG welder. Those caps on there, I'll show you when I get them off. But yeah, I'm going to get them welded up. I'll take them off, and then I'll show you the finish welding process. Okay, so we got it all welded. I ended up sanding it or grinding it down with a flapper disc and hitting it with 120, and that's the finished result. So like I said, we'll end up cutting a line here to match the curve, the radius of this wheel opening. But like I said, kind of run out of time today, so yeah, that's the down and dirty easy side skirts. So not as easy as I really wanted them to be, but to be able to get a piece of metal bent already and somewhat get you the right place, I feel like it's a hard thing for people to do. People to be able to get a piece of metal cut and braked just the right way. So I hope this part helps. Like I said, it's not a direct bolt on. As soon as it's done, after you've put the end caps on, it's a bolt on. So you don't have to ruin your factory paint or your paint job that you have to do this. So kind of gives you the look. So I'll swing over here, kind of do a pan on the other side. Like I said, ran out of time. It's dark outside now, so I have to get in and help the wife get the kids to bed. So, but here's a look at the other side, and hopefully you guys come back and follow along with this.